It was a hard day's night, traversing through the snow. But the Chicago fans, they were raring to go. The only thing that I did not agree with was them giving this away. CM Punk and MJF, they had a month to go until the Revolution pay-per-view where they could have had some cash flow. But instead of that, they pulled a WCW and gave it away on free TV. It was a hard, cold night. I'm John Recton with my review of AEW Dynamite from Chicago, Illinois. They might as well just create a goddamn headquarters in Chicago. They travel there so much. But everybody was excited to see CM Punk finally get his hands on MJF. And yes, I am doing this review quite a bit earlier because I was able to have today off because I've been working a whole lot of hours and whatever. Them's just the breaks. I was able to watch this live, and thank God I was, because I got to see a match that I'm certainly going to have some thoughts on, as well as the rest of the show. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. But boy, one thing we need to start out with is they changed the match with an hour to go before the show started, because Brian Kendrick, you dumbed yourself out of position, you fucking dummy. Don't be a goddamn Holocaust Sandy Hook denier and be a goddamn piece of shit, and then claim those weren't your words or your thoughts. Why'd you put them on video, you dumb son of a bitch? Away with you! Away, sir! And honestly, if anybody has those kind of goddamn thoughts about Holocaust, Sandy Hook, that kind of stuff, you can believe some conspiracy theory. There are people that believe certain things, may have a deeper meaning and everything. Those that believe in lizard people and that kind of stuff, that's kind of fucking bullshit. But yeah, when it gets to stuff like the Holocaust and Sandy Hook and that kind of shit, and obviously one is a lot more egregious than the other, let's not be that goddamn stupid. Don't say stupid shit. Don't be stupid. So Brian Kendrick, away with you. Get the fuck away from wrestling. You really shouldn't have been there, especially considering that this stuff has been out for quite a while. And if you didn't honestly feel that way, if you just were, I don't know, if you felt like there were goddamn space aliens that came down from the third ring of Saturn and made you feel that way, come up with something. Nope. Once it came out and once it came to light again, you decided to be a fucking idiot. Anyway, let's get back to the review. So, Wild Thing, you make her tart sing. That's what he made Renee's tart sing. Anyway, enough of that imagery. It was supposed to be Jon Moxley against Brian Kendrick, but again, since Brian Kendrick dumbed himself right out of position, as Ernie Ladd once said, Bundy, you big fat piece of shit. Ah, good old Ernie Ladd. Man, he was just a treasure, wasn't he? He took on Wheeler Yuta with the best friends Hausen, because you had Orange Cassidy, had Danhausen there, and Danhausen was getting quite a pop despite not wrestling. I don't know if he's medically cleared. I know he had a leg injury and he was like in a wheelchair and on a cart for a while, and just recently got to where he can walk around, but I don't think he can take any bumps yet. I'm not totally sure, but hopefully he's recovering nicely. But yeah, he got a pretty big pop. It lasted longer than the last time Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley took on each other. That went like 30 seconds tops. Wheeler did better than one would expect. The match still went about twice as long as it needed to. This is nothing against Wheeler Yuta. It's how he's been presented. Moxley did fine here. It's a typical Jon Moxley match, though he can work and he does look a lot healthier. Don't give us Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. I don't want to see that. If you do, that's fine. I don't want to. And then, of course, Danhausen curses him. And after Wheeler gets a couple near falls, pair of dimes shift, 1, 2, 3, there you go. So, suddenly Bryan Danielson just shows up out of nowhere. Where was he hiding? Did he just come through the crowd? Did he materialize out of Justin Roberts' hair? That scenario is more likely. But anyway, the American Angry Dragon was right here to basically say, well, do you want to see us fight? I don't want to see us fight because I see a different Jon Moxley. You were the best AEW champion there ever was. I was watching you as AEW champion. Meaning that he was pretty much just waiting for his contract to ride out because, let's be perfectly honest, some of the stuff they were doing with Daniel Bryan, now Bryan Danielson, in the last few months of WWE, outside of the stuff he did with Roman Reigns, wasn't all that good. So he said, we shouldn't be facing each other. We should be teaming up, and taking on everybody else and taking out everybody else. Talked about winning all the championships. You could be the AEW World Champion, I'd be right there with you. Sammy Guevara shouldn't be the TNT Champion. A dinosaur should not be holding one of the Tag Team Championships. Talks about taking all the goddamn gold. Are they going to bring in Brie Merd and have her become the AEW Women's Champion? I apologize for that. Goddamn, just shot my voice like I did in my Rumble review. But, goodness me. asshole Bryan Danielson, this is exactly the one we need. Just him being a full-on dick, and he's having the goddamn time of his life and just having a goddamn blast. Great stuff. He did tell him, hey, we should bring these guys in. We should get these guys away from this comedy stuff and train them to be wrestlers, train them in our image, mold them, shape them, and everything. Not groom them like certain people would have done in wrestling. And there are certain people whose names I'm not going to mention that should be forgotten about, that should have never been allowed in wrestling for being goddamn creeps. And some, they're still there. Serenity's married to one of them. You stupid bitch. Anyway, let's get back to this. Lee Moriarty, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, Dante Martin. Take them all under our wings. You are the wind beneath our wings. And he says, I know this is a lot on your plate. Think about it. Think about it, won't you? Thank you. Good old MST. So, that was a great segment. And then we followed up with probably one of the messiest and one of the most hilarious yet worst wrestling segments that AEW's done in quite a goddamn while. Brandy doesn't know what city she's in. I'm not too surprised if Brandy doesn't know that much, because she definitely doesn't know that she belongs nowhere near a fucking wrestling ring. Be in the back. Do your shit there. You should not be in a wrestling ring. Even as a ring announcer, she was fine. She doesn't belong in a wrestling ring. She looks fucking lost. She's acting like she's trying to justify her position instead of writing, and obviously writing Cody's coattails, as it were, and doing this shit. It's stupid. And she's trying to knock them. Dan Lambert, the sheepish lion Dan Lambert, comes out with the Men of the Year, and he yells at Brandy. Yells about the fake, the fake Bolton she has on her chest, which, whatever, so many women have breast enhancements. I don't give a shit about that. It was a funny line, but it was what it was. But he mentions how, your Brandy from the Block accent, which that was good. The problem is this Dan Lambert stuff, well, some of it has not been that bad. It's basically just buzzwords, the musical. That's essentially what the segment was. That's kind of what Dan Lambert is. But he says, man, I'm this rich, crazy, old, Caucasian conservative, and I almost feel like a decent person standing next to you, and the crowd has changed. Shut the fuck up at Brandy. They're not even chaining it at Lambert, the sheepish lion Dan Lambert. They're not even chaining it at him. Because Lambert, by default, is the fucking face, because Brandy, as an on-screen character, is an abomination against professional wrestling. She doesn't belong there. She should not be anywhere near a television screen. At least on a wrestling show. Rose to the Top, whatever. I tried watching some of that stuff, and I felt like literally taking an ice pick and hitting myself in the goddamn head with it. Not stabbing myself, but just hitting myself, and maybe thinking I could probably bludgeon myself in the head enough, and maybe I would actually find the show entertaining. Then after about 8 times, I started to just see spots and realized this was a dumb idea, but still more entertaining and less painful than watching Road to the Top. So, those shut the fuck up chants, though. She was saying, hey, Ethan, why are you laughing or whatever? The only reason we signed you was to get to Josh Alexander. Oh, I'm willing to bet the Brandy Alexander. Brandy Rose has no goddamn idea who Josh Alexander is. See, Josh actually has talent. See, that's the thing. And that's why I don't think she understands who Josh Alexander is. These shut the fuck up chants. This was great. Lambert was rattling her. And Scorpio says, well, maybe we could bring, Scorpio's just talking and everything, and we're talking about some stuff, and hey, maybe somebody else could come out and take care of Brandy. And it's Paige Vanzant. Paige Vanzant's back. She's cool as far as, a TV character and as far as being an MMA fighter and stuff like that. If they have Paige Vanzant literally just snap Brandy's goddamn arm in kayfabe and everything and take her out, good. And she could go home and be a fucking mother, or just go backstage. Stay out of a business she doesn't fucking belong in. Paige Vanzant coming down. Okay, they're going to do this. A bit weird. I don't really understand why they're doing this. All the women, literally all the women, I think women that were cotton candy vendors and women that were just literally said, hey, you're a woman just walking by the arena. Come in for $50 and do this pull-apart thing. What's a pull-apart? What? I don't know what wrestling is. Okay, fine, $50. And they come in, every goddamn woman in the goddamn arena comes down and does that. It was very uncomfortable to watch them all get back to their seats. Let's do a pull-apart for Paige Vanzant, who would have torn Brandy Rhodes apart. Cody's nepotism project apart. Okay, I'm done ranting about Cody. That was not a good segment, though. It was not. It was not a good segment. It was mildly amusing as far as, some of the stuff, but just... Why are Lambert and Brandy feuding? Genuine question. Why are they feuding? If Paige does not beat the shit out of her in 30 seconds, it's an abomination. It's also an abomination is this Andrade and Matt Hardy stuff. Why is this allowed on any kind of wrestling program with a budget and any kind of reputation and any kind of actual talent? Andrade has not been interesting since he signed with AEW. He's fine as an athlete. Actually, he's very good in the ring. And he's just meant less and less and less as time has gone on. And something about the TNT Championship. Isaiah Cassidy is going to bring it to the AHFO, the Andrade Hardy Family Orifice. This thing needs to be shoved in a goddamn orifice, along with, I'd say, the entire Hardy family compound. That's all due respect to some of the talent that's actually there. But this Matt Hardy character, it's fucking walking death on television. So, honoring the House of Black is, Brody King and Malachi Black against Penta and Pac, the Penta Pac. And Pac's being guided to the ring because he can't see. But now he can see clearly now. The blindfold's gone because it was all a ruse to get Malachi to be fooled by what he thought was a blind opponent, and how now he will kick his misting face away. Well, why not ruin another song there? So anyway, I like these talents. Match was a mess. It's just a mess. It was just another tag match where people just got and did moves. There was some psychology. There was a little bit of good storytelling with Pac and Pac and Malachi. But look, flippy shit. And then the mist ends up in Penta's face, and then we get Dante's Inferno. Not divine nor comedy. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then the incredible shrinking Cole talks about facing Evil Uno. Cole is a very good athlete. Cole has not meant much of anything in AEW. Why is Karen Guerrero here? Nobody likes Karen Guerrero. Nobody wants Karen Vicky Guerrero on television. If you do, that's fine, but she's not needed. And the lead singer of Rancid was there, Lars something or other. One of my friends pointed out he was dressed like a hobo, so now it's Ruby with a ho-ho. Hobo. Whoa, totally fucking screwed that up. Let's get back to the match. Nyla with Karen Guerrero taking on Ruby Soho. Okay, so they did fine work in this match, and there was some good psychology of Ruby being the veteran trying to wear Nyla down while Nyla used the goddamn power. But this got sloppy at the end. Now, I'm not saying it's their fault, but this was an example of, while the match was given time, and I appreciate that it was given time, the interference stuff was bullshit with Karen Guerrero. Stop with the apron bumps, please. Men, women, children, space aliens from Saturn. I don't care. Stop with the goddamn apron bumps. There was an awkward interference spot, and then a bump off the top, and then a beast bomb, 1, 2, 3. I'm not against the women getting time, and this had a little bit of, energy behind it. But it just got sloppy at the end. And I don't know, everything came unglued and it was ridiculous. The Gun Club then target Jungle Boy, and throw him into a giant pile of snow. His jungle love is shrinking, Okay, enough of that. And then Christian Cage and Luchasaurus arrive not a moment too late while the Gun Club takes off down the goddamn street. It's not a very warm temperature in Chicago. It wasn't at the point this show was done, and it wasn't at the point that, right now or whatever. They're in the midst of a cold front with a lot of snow, and even though they have proper road crews there and can clear that shit off, they still shouldn't have been running out there, even as great athletes as they are. I really hope that maybe they was like, okay, cameras off, get the fuck back in here before you freeze to death. Also, I don't care about this feud. I mean, I appreciate what they're trying to do, but whatever. Shivani brings out Adam Hangman Page, and he's fired up and talking about how he, that he's got a foot of snow at home, his flight might be canceled, but he doesn't care. He wants to kick Lance Archer's ass. Sometimes they do right by Adam Hangman Page. He did right here. And here's Dan Lambert, the sheepish lion Dan Lambert, who's feuding with everybody. He's going to be feuding with everybody by this point next month. And he did say, well, talking about the Blackhawks or whatever, I think you'd want to be, you'd be more comfortable in Cleveland, where they canceled their Indians. It's not bad. I'm not saying that he's right for what he said, but it's like it's a good buzzword line. And then Jake sounds like walking death. He really does. He does not sound good at all. And then Archer and Page brawl, and then we get a chokeslam on the steps, and the blackout through the table. Okay, now we move on to the Insurrection. God looked, sounding, and being completely terrible. Chris Jericho talks about being the influencer behind the scenes in AEW. Kind of makes sense for why a lot of his segments the last 2 years have been absolutely 100% fucking dog shit. Also, Fuck his wife and mother-in-law for being part of the January 6th insurrection attempts. And no, I'm not going to forget that. And Chris Jericho deserves to be ridiculed repeatedly for that, and especially for donating thousands of dollars to Trump, but claiming to be all about, equality and everything. Except he's not. Nobody believes that. As far as on-screen wrestling character, he's not very interesting anymore. His spray hair looks like shit. He physically looks like shit, and he sounds like shit. He wrestles like shit. It's a full inner circle meeting. So I guess Jake Hager is going to come back. Apparently he's been witness protection programs for the last couple months. And of course, Jericho is going to boss around the minorities and tell Santana Ortiz to be there. Rampage is going to be Uno versus Cole, Starks versus Lethal for the FTW Championship. Should be a good match for a title that doesn't mean anything. Sammy versus Isaiah Cassidy for the TNT Championship. And Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez. On a taped show. We don't even want to put that on Dynamite. Nope, we do MJF and Punk doing their entrances and everything. Punk fired up. They're giving us 40 fucking minutes. And I'm going to say the same thing that I said on Twitter. I'm glad that they gave these guys a hot crowd to wrestle in front of, but this is a WCW move. You had something here. You had a month until Revolution. You could have just waited. Eke this out a little bit. Have Punk have a partner and take on FTR to get to MJF. You had 4 fucking weeks left of TV. And you gave it away on TV. Now, I get why they did it. That you had 4 fucking weeks until the pay-per-view. That's all you had. All you had to do. You could have had a major cash flow. You could have had a lot more interest. I'm not saying that if they do this rematch at the pay-per-view that it won't matter. It will be good given what they did here. But they shot themselves in the fucking foot here. Was this match good? It was very good. Very good. 40 minutes is a bit much, especially after we had Paige and Danielson do their hour-long Broadway. And then Paige and Danielson did 30 to 35 minutes, about a month ago for the AEW Championship. I'm glad they made it long. It would have been fine being this long on pay-per-view, given what they did. It feels like they just wrote themselves into a corner when they actually didn't. They had a way to get out of this. I'm glad that they went the way of putting it in Chicago, but it was a catch-22. They had to give the fans something, but they also gave this away on free TV, and it just wasn't, it was a mess. So, Punk took it to him early on. MJF did do the catching the ropes and everything and that kind of stuff. Almost Terry Funk-like, but not quite as crazy as Terry Funk, because nobody is as crazy as Terry Funk. Thank fuck. Thank Funk, if you will. And then they went into the crowd for a while. They went into the crowd literally. I'm surprised they didn't go outside and do that, because the referee's like, I'm just going to let this go. So apparently, you can just shoot somebody outside the ring as long as it's outside the ring or whatever, meaning Chicago's the appropriate city. Moving on from that, we're going to talk about the fact that this match, well, it had great psychology. Great fucking psychology. But if I'm going to knock, say, New Japan for having matches go too long, if I'm going to knock WWE for having matches go too long, and the Black and Gold NXT had a lot of matches that went on way too goddamn long. This could have been cut a little bit. A little bit. While they told a great story, and there was a lot of great selling. This will be one of my favorite matches of the year. It's also a missed opportunity to put it on fucking pay-per-view. And Punk did get hit into the post, and he hurt his bicep. MJF kept focusing on it, doing some really good stuff. Punk does come back. We get a slam on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. Stop with the apron bumps, please. And then MJF eventually gets the tape on, and the referee doesn't see it, and he's choking him out with the tape, just choking him out and everything. And he passes out. Punk's out. MJF wins like in 15 minutes. Holy shit, we got to have a standby match. And then the tape falls out of his hand, and the referee's like, what the fuck? I mean, he might have not said that. I mean, I have no goddamn idea what Bryce Remsburg actually said, but he's like, wait a second. No, we're going to start this match again. And then Punk eventually rises back on his feet, and hits the punches in the corner. They go back and forth. MJF does take over. Targets a knee. Keeps targeting the arm, but gets locked in the STF. Beautiful maneuver. Poison Rana. Don't understand why the Poison Rana is being broken out in any match anymore. We get a low blow and feet on the ropes for 2. And then he's biting CM Punk. But suddenly, they're on the ropes. Oh my god, what the hell is going on? Pepsi Plunge! That's something he hasn't used in a goddamn while, and there's for good reason. Because I'm sure even if he didn't have a hurt knee, at this age, with that many miles, he probably destroyed his goddamn knee. That looked like it hurt like a bitch. He was busting that out on the indies. He was busting out in Ring of Honor. And that was great. Huge pop. Elbow drop for a close 2. And here's Wardlow. He stares at Punk and then stands to the side. And he throws MJF in the ring. And then suddenly, Wardlow's staying there. Punk's staring at him. But then we see the sleight of hand. The referee's distracted by Wardlow. Gets the ring on. Boom! 1, 2, 3. And MJF wins in Chicago. That, I get why, for that, crowd reaction, why they did that. MJF beating CM Punk in his hometown was very well done. It was a great, great moment. They also fucked up by not putting this on pay-per-view. You don't get a lot of opportunities with something this organic to build it and nurture it to pay-per-view. They only do 4 pay-per-views a year. The ratings may spike for this, but can you keep that momentum? They had a chance to do this on pay-per-view. I get why they did it, but still... That being said, it was a great main event. It was a very good main event. And it continues the Wardlow, MJF stuff where Wardlow may, suddenly just snap at MJF at one point. And CM Punk gets his first loss handed to him by MJF. And naturally, they'll build up to pay-per-view and Punk will get his win on pay-per-view, which is fine. But again, as points I stated before. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.